Okay, folks, welcome to another edition of From the Bottom Up. Today was one of my personal choices, and I decided to go with none other than Queensrÿche Empire, which peaked at number 7 on the Billboard album charts. Album came out on August the 20th, 1990, and yes, I bought it the day it came out. And I'll tell you, this album is just simply amazing. Um, It's the band's best seller at 3 times platinum. 6 singles were released from this album, all making the U.S. mainstream chart, and one making the top 40, which is their only top 40 appearance. We'll talk about that as we go on. It was produced by Peter Collins, and it was featured on the EMI America USA label. And it also has the distinction of being the longest album of the catalog for Queensryche at 63 minutes and 23 seconds, featuring 11 tracks of just great music here. And I'm going to, real quick, we're going to start digging right into it because we got a lot of ground to cover here. So, on this album, there's no filler. Um, Even the songs, like the few bottom ones I got here, um, I definitely weren't so high on them early on. Um, but over time, you know, this album is just simply stunning. Even the songs that did not get airplay on the radio, which is pretty much, it's like 6 songs got airplay, 5 didn't. So we're going to go through it real quick with my number 11 is going to kick things off. Now, this is what I feel is my least favorite on the album. And that's going to be One and Only. Just doesn't get played a lot, by me personally. It's okay. It's a good song, definitely. I got no problem with the song. I just feel that it's just not as good as any of the others, and that's easy to say when you got to deal with how strong a lot of these songs on this album are. And it was written by both guitarists. Of course, we're talking about Michael Wilton and Chris DeGarmo, and that's what I got at number 11, One and Only. Number 10 is Resistance. The Tate Wilton classic was used to open up the Empire tour. Um, So yeah, this one definitely helped set the tone of the show. I don't know. I thought it was a little weak as an opener, but you know, uh, I always thought Best I Can would have served as a better opener, uh, just because of the way it slowly kicks in and builds up. But anyhow, they opened with Resistance. It went over pretty good. Opening songs tend to do that, especially when people want to see this band for sure. Back in the day, you got to remember this was about 1990. They had just came off the Operation Mindcrime tour, and they had to come right in and start writing and preparing this album. And there wasn't really a lot of downtime. You had 2 years between the two albums, and you got to remember for most of those 2 years in between, they did so much touring off of Operation Mindcrime. So. Um, to get an album of this caliber, considering the short time they had to write it, is just simply amazing, to tell you the truth. So number 9, I find Hand on Heart, another kind of lost song, very underrated song that many people might not be familiar with because they just didn't hear it, didn't get no airplay, but it definitely stands out on the album when you listen to it. Definitely one of the better songs on the album. Um, Unfortunately, I got it at number 9 just because there are so much better songs on here. It's just a strong album, It's really hard to place these songs when you got so many songs that are all in that same range of being good. So that is Hand on Heart, number 8. We're gonna walk the thin line for you. Yep, Thin Line. This song has definitely received a lot of airplay in concert over the years. One of the more familiar tracks on the album, and just a great song. This is one of those ones that are just a fantastic song. A Thin Line, written by DeGarmo, Jeff Tate, and of course Michael Wilton. And that's what we got at number eight. Number seven, it's going to be the Slow Down Groove of Della Brown. And this song is, it's very interesting bass line. It really slows things down on the album, but it's got that hard hitting drum sound. Mr. Rockenfield, who also has a co-writing credit on this song, along with Chris DeGarmo and Jeff Tate. So it's no wonders that Rockenfield had a big part in this song for sure. If you just listen to the drumming, you can clearly see just a very different type of Queensryche song. It was one of those ones that took time to grow on me, but after it did, it's one of those ones. No matter what, you definitely enjoy it every time you hear it, no doubt. And that is going to take me to number six, and this is where every song from here on up got airplay. Majority of these were all videos on MTV. And some people might dispute where I have this song here because it was a very, very popular song. It peaked at number six on the U.S. mainstream charts, written by Mr. Chris DeGarmo and Mr. Jeff Tate. And it definitely sums up the Seattle scene. Jet City Woman. This song is definitely a great song, no doubt. But it just, for some reason, for me, it just never sat with the other ones that are above it. Um, I always seem to like the ones above it so much more, and that's not trying to take anything away from Jet City Woman. That's just telling you how much I love the songs that are above it, really. So number six is Jet City Woman. The next song we got at number five is a classic, still played on Hair Nation today. You hear it pretty much, quite a couple times a week. And it's none other than Another Rainy Night Without You. Just a classic ballad, slow type song where the lyrics are simply amazing and written by Tate, Jackson, and DeGarmo. So bassist Eddie Jackson has a co-writing credit on this one, his lone one for the album. And yeah, I just love this video. I love this song. Just a simply amazing how this song has lasted through the test of time. To me, it just never has gotten old. Just a great song. Another rainy night. Number four, we're going to go with the title track, none other than Empire. And this was written by Tate and Michael Wilton. Peaked at number 22 on the mainstream charts here on Billboard, mainstream rock chart. And just yeah, Empire. This is one of those ones you expect to hear it at every Queensrÿche show, and you do, even at the with the new lineup that's been together now since like 2012, with Todd LaTorre singing, and Empire's just you can't deny it. It's one of the band's best songs, and clearly I've got it at number four here, and that's because number three I just really love so much better. It's the song I mentioned earlier. I always thought this song should have opened up the Building Empires tour back in the day. And I don't believe I've ever seen it open up a show yet. And I don't know why. I just feel this would always be a great opener. And that is none other than Best I Can, the album's opening track. Hence the reason why I always thought that they would open with it. Peaked at number 28 only on the mainstream rock charts. And it was a solo composition written by Chris DeGarmo. And it's just a great song. It's about inspiration, and I just love Best I Can. There's no doubt this is one of the band's best songs, hands down. And that's what we got at number 28 on the mainstream charts and number three on our From the Bottom Up. And that leaves us with two songs. If you can guess them, which one's going to be next, you're probably going to say, well, number two, I've got the big one. When I say big one, I mean the song that appeared on the top 40 charts, the only entry for the band on the top 40, and that is none other than Silent Lucidity at number nine. It peaked at, and written by Chris DeGarmo. So that's his second, and those are the only two songs that he wrote by himself. The rest of the songs on the album are all co-writes. Yeah, what a great job on this one. Silent Lucidity is the one song that I think many people identify the band with. Um, and it's a shame because the band are in a tough predicament because they don't play this song a lot on every tour lately. They've kind of skipped it. If you go to see a regular Queensrÿche show, if you go to Jeff Tate, he'll keep playing it. But Queensrÿche themselves is kind of retired the song here and there. They don't bring it back too often, but they do a great job on it. Both bands do. You know, you can't deny it. A great song is a great song, and it's just a shame, of what happened to this band to begin with. Um, but here we are, what, 13 years later, and we still got Jeff Tate in his camp, and then Michael Wilt and Eddie Jackson running the Queensryche show here. So um, it is what it is. All right, and that's going to take me to my number one track, and that is none other than Anybody Listening, which is just a great song. I just love this song, how it builds, and written by Tate and Chris DeGarmo, peaked at number 16 on the U.S. mainstream rock charts. Anybody listening, I'll tell you, man, the first time I was able to see this song live was back on November of 2003. Queensryche was doing what they called a fan club appreciation show in Erie, Pennsylvania. And that's the only one they did on that tour. And you were allowed access to the sound check, which they played a longer sound check to give the fans more for their money for their being in the fan club. You had to be a fan club member. So we were all granted early access to the venue, and we got to see them sing. It was about nine songs altogether, and this was one of them. First time I ever got to hear it live was in a sound check, and man, it was stellar even during the sound check. And later on during the show, later on that night, they played it again. Man, I'll tell you, I haven't seen it live too many times, but I'll tell you the few times that I have, simply amazing. It just is something to behold. If you like the song, to hear it and see it in a live setting is the ultimate experience, no doubt. And anybody listening, no doubt, hands down for me, my number one song on this album, and that is the bottom line from the bottom up. So give you a quick rundown one more time. Number 11, One and Only. Number 10, Resistance. 9, Hand on Heart. 8, The Thin Line. Number 7, Della Brown. Number 6, Jet City Woman. Number 5, Another Rainy Night Without You. Number 4, Empire. Number 3, Best I Can. Number 2, Silent Lucidity. And number 1, Anybody Listening. And I'll be listening and looking for comments and your take on how you would rank these songs. Very interesting indeed. This was a tough one for me, but it was a fun one, no doubt, listening back on all these tracks again one more time to make sure I had my order right. And that's what I got here. And this is from the bottom up Queensryche Empire. Stay tuned for another dandy coming up with the next episode. You'll be glad you did. Please subscribe, like our video, and don't be afraid to leave a comment.